Hello and welcome. This is Faceless Opinion, wondering what school of magic I should learn. Welcome you back to Skyrim Month, the series where we go over Skyrim related topics throughout the entire month of November. And for today, we're going to be talking about magic. And no, it's not going to be a top 10 spells in the game list. We are going to take a bit of a reprieve from the top 10 list format for a while, but rest assured that it will return. Now, magic. I do not like it. I think the game's magic system is lacking in many aspects. Magicka is not easy to use and work upon, there is a lack of variety, and whatever magic we have in the game is not that great, leading to the overall mechanic as a whole being flawed. For me, Magicka is my biggest gripe with doing magic, and is why I never truly bothered with it that much. Let me tell you a story. My very first Skyrim character I made was an Argonian wizard, or I tried to make him one at least. It was not an easy thing to do, especially when you never played a game like this before and have no idea what you're doing. Anyhow, I was leaving Whiterun, and when I was passing by the stables, I was attacked by mercenaries. Apparently I did something to somebody, and they wanted payback on me, so I tried fighting them off. There was 3 mercenaries, so no big deal. I was struggling for this for 20 to 30 minutes. I kept running out of Magicka. I had to heal and fend them off at the same time. It got so bad that I had to jump on top of the roof of the stables just to get away from them. Guards didn't do shit to help me, so I was on my own. I eventually was able to beat them, but after that I started the game over and made a new character, one that focused on two-handed weapons. I never really touched magic after that, except for a few restoration spells here or there. Magicka is the most important thing when casting a spell, but it isn't really a good thing when one spell literally takes up your entire bar. You have to wait for it to replenish just so you can do the same spell again, so you can do a little smudge of damage against the enemy, and that is assuming you even hit them, or that your spell can actually damage them. Take the spell Flames for example. That is the first destruction spell you end up knowing. It costs 14 Magicka a second to cast and does about 8 damage if you keep hitting them with a stream. Since this is the beginning of the game, you're going to have about 100 Magicka total, which means that a flame stream would last for at most 7 seconds. It is not really balanced. Magicka regen is not that great, and if you're in the middle of combat, you aren't going to wait for the bar to refill. Yes, a potion can help, but that doesn't stop the drain of the spell. I'm telling you from first-hand experience that it is a struggle to do so. There is so much investment you have to put in it so that you can be a somewhat decent wizard, like putting in points into your Magicka bar and getting perks for whatever skill tree you're working on, making it exceedingly difficult to make a true magic-only character through legitimate means, PC players, which is why magic is used for support reasons and for nothing else, because it is not sustainable to be used just by itself. Sure, you can find a way to optimize the best magic build by picking the proper race, getting the proper items and blessings, and only focus on what you want to specialize on, but there are 2 problems with that. A, no one really wants to put in the work into researching all the best ways to make the most superior magic build, and B, it kinda takes away the fun if you do that. You don't get to try new things. Yes, playing as a high elf would help if you wanted to be a mage, but what if I want to go the crazy route and be an orc mage? The way the system is built, an orc mage doesn't work that well, not without some degree of optimization, and that is a lot of work to put in for something that isn't that incredibly worth it. My next criticism about the magic in Skyrim would have to be about how there is a lack of variety of spells. Look at the magic school of destruction. There are 3 branches consisting of fire, frost, and shock. That is it. Yes, there are different levels of spells you can do with each element, but it is still a small pool to choose from. How come there aren't any destruction spells based on the element of water, or earth, or air? Yes, insert your avatar joke here. Or anything else like arcane energy, or having spells based within nature. There are so many things you can do with magic, and I feel like that the spells we have in the game are incredibly basic. Let's look at fire again. Explain to me the difference between Firebolt and Fireball. They look practically the same. The only real difference between the 2 is that Fireball causes a massive explosion on impact. So forgive me if I get the 2 confused. The same thing can be said about Ice Spike and Icy Spear, or Lightning Bolt and Thunderbolt. There's no real physical uniqueness, no variety. If I had Skyrim on PC, I would look into mods for magic, because I have seen a couple of mods on how they do magic, and it is a great improvement over the vanilla version. Instead of talking about what should have been in the game, let's shift towards what we currently have, and that isn't really much, because the schools of magic in Skyrim, Alteration, Illusion, Destruction, Restoration, and Conjuration are all kinda sucky. Destruction I already talked about, mainly due to how synonymous some of the spells are with one another. Alteration is a weird one because of how random some of the spells are in this school, like transmutation, telekinesis, water breathing, mage armor, paralysis, detect life, and mage light. You can say that alteration is the jack of all trades of magic, and I can agree with that. Some have their uses, but others I have to question why they exist. Transmute isn't an extremely practical spell because it only transmutes iron ore into silver and then silver into gold. Not really useful for combat or dungeoneering. Or water breathing. I can't really think of an instance where you would be in the water long enough, keyword right there, to where you need to use the spell. Conjuration I have issues with. I don't like the idea of being able to summon bound weapons. I think it's a tad bit pointless to being able to summon a sword or a bow if you can find them literally anywhere. So it's kind of pointless to invest points in Magicka to summon a weapon. I don't have an issue with any of the summons. I think they're fine for the most part. Maybe give them a longer time for being active, especially if they're a higher level summon. I don't think something as powerful as a Storm Atronach deserves only a 60-second life expectancy. But my biggest issue with Conjuration has to be the necromancy spells. Ray Zombie says that I can reanimate a weak dead body to fight for you for 60 seconds. Now tell me, what exactly qualifies as a weak dead body? The same thing goes for the increasing spells as well, like Reanimate Corpse, Revenant, or Dread Zombie. What creatures fall under each category? This isn't common knowledge that your average player just starting out would know. Hell, I've played the game for years and I still don't know what variation of the spell you would use to revive a bandit or something. Restoration is probably the most important school of magic, and the one I would probably recommend everyone to invest in. I'm not gonna bash healing, that would be stupid. But the other spell types within the school, yes. I'll start with wards. They consume a lot of magicka to maintain, and a good chunk of enemies you face off against don't use super high level magic unless they are a boss. Even at that point, it wouldn't be wise to use something that drains your magic to a high degree during an important fight. Not to mention, I'm a little confused. How come wards and mage armor aren't in the same school of magic? Wards are restoration while mage armor is alteration. Since they are more or less similar, wouldn't it make sense for them to be a part of the same school? Then we have the spells that affect the undead, like Repel Undead and all of its higher and lower variations. Just like Conjuration, what spell would you use on a certain undead? Turn Lesser Undead makes undead up to level 6 flee for 30 seconds. What qualifies as a level 6? Then we get to what I would consider to be the worst school of magic in the game. Illusion. Don't at me. You know I'm right. At least the other schools of magic have their uses. Illusion doesn't. Calm, Fury, Courage, and Fear, as well as all of their variations, are shit. Just like Conjuration, they only affect enemies that are a certain level. Who cares about wanting to make enemies scared, or to pacify them, or to enrage them? At the end of the day, they need to be killed, so I'm not so sure to why you would want to drag stuff out. Then we get some of the other spells. Clairvoyancy, on paper, sounds like a good spell, but it is not that great. It takes a large amount of magicka to use and doesn't always lead you down the correct path, making it unreliable. Muffle, who really uses that spell? If you have a good enough stealth, you don't need to use it. Then we get to the most popular spell in this category, Invisibility. It has its uses, yes, but there are better ways of having the ability to turn invisible than having to use up all your magicka to use it, and can last longer than the spell version. Different ways of trying to make yourself invisible are as followed. Potions, the Shadow Stone, by becoming a nightingale and choosing the Agent of Stealth power, so you have other options. The one nitpick I have with the ability is that you can turn invisible by simply interacting with anything, which doesn't make it as useful as you may think. As I said earlier in the video, magic is lacking. I feel like if there was more context, if we were properly shown how to make use of these schools, things would be better. It wouldn't be a bad thing if we had more spells in general either, or have spells that don't completely butcher your magicka bar, but that's not the point. Out of numerous playthroughs of this game, I still know absolutely nothing about magic. If only there was a place where you could learn about magic. But Faceless, I hear you say, what about the College of Winterhold? They teach you magic? I'll stop you right there. They don't. They sell you magic. They don't really teach you anything. But I don't want to get too far deep into the college. I have a lot to say about them, but not now. Not yet. That's a topic for a different day. The long and short of it is, that I do not like magic. If you do, awesome. That's great. I'm glad that somebody out there can make sense of it, because I know I can't. Now tell me, do you agree with me? Do you think I just suck at magic? Which is 100% true. What's your favorite school of magic? Tell me in the comment section down below. Now if you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more of that good old Skyrim of content. Now until next time, I'll catch you all on the flip side.